This will be a quick guide on how to spot counterfeit Nikon camera batteries being currently sold on eBay. Both of these batteries and boxes were purchased on eBay from two separate sellers, both located in China. The first one was pretty easy to spot. The box has no Nikon hologram, which should be located about here on the box. This counterfeit does have the hologram, but the hologram is of a low quality. A real Nikon hologram has real depth to it. You can tell it's a quality hologram. This one here is just very thin looking, no real 3D effect, almost gold looking hologram. The Nikon holograms have depth, and they have a sort of a greenish goldish color as you turn them. Then you can just tell it's a high quality hologram. This one, the first one I received, also it's a very low quality recycled cardboard box. The cardboard just looks like recycled newsprint, and just from opening and closing it a couple of times, the box begins to split on the edges. So it's just a low quality box. Also in this box came an instruction sheet, very low quality. It was a 4th or 5th generation copy, just a copy of a copy of a copy. And in some places the print was almost illegible. You can see just splotchy printing, something that you would never receive from Nikon. They would watch every single detail, and there would be just a quality printed instruction sheet in the box. So both of these are pretty easy to tell just from the outside of the box. This one's a little bit harder because it does have the hologram. Now looking at the batteries, get a little closer. Both these batteries are counterfeit. This one, the smudging on the back was done by me by dragging my fingernail across it to check the quality of the printing, and it was pretty obvious that it was low quality printing, low quality ink on this battery. Another thing, an indicator, is the low quality of the holograms on both these batteries. This one does have the 4 little notches on it that you should look for on a genuine Nikon battery hologram, but these notches are too long. They should be about half that long and evenly spaced and of an even length. The second counterfeit I received had a little bit better quality box and better quality printing, but the hologram is missing the 4 little notches. There are no notches on this one. And then also the hologram is of a relatively poor quality. On a real Nikon hologram, you can see every other row, depending on how you tilt the battery. In other words, if you could see this row real well, you wouldn't be able to see these 2 rows very well. And then when you tilt the battery, you could see the 2 outside rows real well, but not the inside row. And all of these rows are equally visible no matter how you turn the battery. So that's one indication of a counterfeit hologram for Nikon. And then also there's just no real depth or quality to this hologram. When you see a genuine Nikon hologram and you compare the two, you can immediately tell the difference. So look for printing errors, printing that's a little bit out of line, or just simple mistakes like the OO on this one, the small O's, which should be the capital O's or zeros on a legitimate battery. On the fronts also, this battery, the lowest quality of the 2 that I received, they printed lithium ion as one word. And on a genuine Nikon battery, lithium ion should be 2 words, like this, or have a space between them. And then again, all I had to do was run my finger across this, and the ink did smudge on it. Now this one, the better quality counterfeit, there's almost like a little shadow that runs around the letters on the silkscreen printing. So just with a magnifying glass, you could pick up a lot of flaws on the printing from the silkscreen printing process that are an indication that it's a counterfeit battery. Nikon is going to make an extremely high quality product, and they're going to look at every single little detail. They're not going to make mistakes in printing. Another mistake that was made was on the better quality counterfeit. The capacity of the battery is measured in either milliamp hours, or you can convert it to amp hours. So 1030 milliamp hours is 1.03 amp hours. And on the back of this one, they just put 1.03 amps. That should be amp hours, AH. On this one, they managed to get that right. They put 1.03 amp hours, AH. But on this one, the better quality counterfeit, it took me a little bit longer to figure this one out as being a counterfeit. But the two big giveaways were no notches on the hologram, and then when they printed 1.03 amps instead of amp hours on the batteries. Now again, both of these were eBay sellers. This first one, when I told the seller that it was a counterfeit battery, they didn't say anything, they didn't ask anything, they immediately refunded my money. They make so much money on these that they can make up what they lost, giving me this battery just with another sale. They're buying these batteries for, I don't know, $3, $4 a piece, $5 a piece, and they're selling them for $25, $24. I can't remember what exactly I paid for this one. I think it was about $25. And the batteries are not as good as a genuine Nikon battery. I ran them in my camera, fully charged, doing a high def video, and compared the record times. And these batteries are half the capacity of a genuine Nikon battery. Don't let them tell you that they're just as good, because some sellers will try and do that. They'll tell you it's just as good as a genuine battery. Now this seller, they wanted to quibble about giving me my money back. First they said, well, it wasn't a counterfeit battery, that I was mistaken. Then they said it was made by a factory that's authorized to make Nikon products. And I said, well, they might be, but it's not a genuine Nikon battery, and it has half the capacity of a genuine Nikon battery. Then they said, well, it's just as good as a Nikon battery, but it's cheaper, and even though it's half the capacity, it's still a good value. And I pointed out the fact that there are generic batteries available on eBay for less than half the price that I paid for this one. That all the money that was spent producing this battery went into the box, and the counterfeit instruction sheet, and all the counterfeit holograms that went into making this look like a counterfeit. That the money wasn't spent on putting good high quality Japanese cells, lithium ion cells inside. It was all spent trying to fool somebody. And that if they're losing money on it, the battery, what they need to do is go back to the person that they bought the battery from and get their money back. Since they're in the same country, it'd probably be a lot easier to do. If I were to send this battery back, it would cost me probably $10 or more to send it back to China. So if you get these batteries, you can also go on Nikon's website, and they have a lot of information and pictures on how to spot counterfeit batteries. But the best thing to do is immediately complain to eBay and send an email complaining to the seller and tell them they're selling counterfeit batteries. They'll send you your money back, because they don't want the negative feedback that will impact their being able to sell more of these batteries. If they have to replace or refund the money on 1 out of 20 people, they're still making a lot of money on these batteries. Because by counterfeiting and passing them off as legitimate Nikon batteries, they can sell them for over twice as much as they can just selling a generic battery. So they're trying to commit fraud. And if you complain to eBay that they're selling counterfeit batteries, and you send them an email complaining of a counterfeit battery, they will immediately refund your money. And if more people do that, there'll be less incentive for them to try and pass these just generic batteries off as genuine Nikon batteries.